we're live.
mAng and Neads Show, mAng. Sonic Gardens. What's up? Wednesday, right? Wednesday. April 15th.
You're listening to another episode of the mAng and Neads Show, live on Sonic Gardens Radio.
Fairies in this breeze. I am grateful that I'm alive.
Once again, everybody out there, we are looking to get 1,000 subscribers, and if you can help us out by hitting that subscribe button, then you too can join the Sonic Gardens family. So here we are. Josh, what is happening out there at the main desk? Top anchor.
Jamming. I like
jamming.
this. Oh, yeah, I like it. Another day, man. Looks like snow tomorrow.
I know. I saw snow this morning.
Yeah, we had snow up there, but it looks like there's a couple of inches coming later tonight. Maybe 5, maybe 6.
Oh, man. Intro song, Cosmic Theo.
Ooh.
You can find him on Facebook under Cosmic, C-O-Z-M-I-C, Theo, T-H-E-O. Yeah, he's... This is all looping that he's doing, and if you've listened in, you've heard him before doing some intro tracks and some other things. So this was a cool session. We got like 8 songs out of it. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, man, Cosmic Theo.
Oh yeah.
When it rains.
That's right. Sonic Gardens Radio. Only place you're going to hear that particular version of that song.
Right.
I'm not sure if Theo does have a CD with these songs on there.
Oh, you don't know if he does?
I don't know if he does, but
he might.
But he might. You know, you could ask him. Give him a like, man. Yeah. Let him know I sent you. Let him know Sonic Gardens sent you. There is a video of this entire set live. If you look up the Cosmic Theo on the Sonic Gardens
interweb.
Well, there's a different playlist on this YouTube page. And one of the playlists is Sonic Gardens Take 1 sessions, and then all that is like anything where, you know, anybody showed up and we just hit record and, you know, we put it on there. So there's one where it's like his entire set is live with different camera angles, similar to like we just had done with Shaka, but it's I hadn't worked out like kinks with like lagging and such, and really just how to do it exactly. So it's kind of cool, and it's definitely you know, if you're digging what you're listening to, you can hear the whole thing. And other than that, you know, let me know what you think of it, and if you want me to you know, I was actually thinking of doing running a radio program, maybe like at least a couple times a week,
right? Maybe
even after the show, and just running music. And if anybody's liked what they've been hearing and they like the music specifically, then yeah, I can run that. Yeah, I dig it. And also I think it's kind of cool because you can't get it anywhere else, you know, like everything we play here is comes from here. don't know why there wouldn't be more places to do things like that, like on the, the more like professional level or whatever.
There's a couple of people that do that. Same type of
like Relics, but like Relics is like a magazine, and then
there's
got,
a couple of people that like that Anthony Simpkins and the LR Bag, they get the artists are they have other releases and stuff, but they only but they record some stuff too, and then they do the same thing. They play what they have recorded, not the other stuff like off their albums and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
Or like they have the videos on their thing. It's just what they have done that has come in.
Right.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that on a private level.
Tiny desk music thing there.
Or remember, like, there's all those, there's like 90 tracks that Tim Timebomb, put together with friends, and there's like all kinds of different, like, there's like 90 songs or something on that.
Yeah.
All kinds of covers and different versions.
Oh, yeah. And then he goes
cool.
back and plays his old, like you say, he does different versions of his songs too.
Right.
Yeah, he's just
good like, Daryl Hall. All the, that was a big one too.
Yeah, Daryl Hall. He knows.
And, same thing. So it's like they get together, they rehearse for a little bit, I imagine, and figure it out, and then they
play the hits.
And then they play the hits.
Daryl does. They play the hits.
Daryl plays his hits, and the band that he invites hits.
Right.
That's kind of how that was.
Sometimes they do a killer cover hit, but
See, that evolved. That
Daryl's house, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's funny because those things all together gave me an inspiration for this place. It's like the whole idea of Daryl's house combined with, I really blows me away the way that that Radiohead recorded, all their albums. They have the From the Basement series, and they just have the 6 studio, and you see them build the songs and how they go, like live, like where you'd think that some of the stuff you're listening to is so loop generated or something like that, and you find it's not, that it's a drummer holding that beat for the whole song, or whatever.
Right.
And it's just an amazing setup, and it's got, that live raw sound that, I talk about, that I think is special. And it's not really anything, it's not anything new, this stuff's been around. It's like you combine all kinds of different stuff, like Saturday Night Live appearances over the years of bands, and it's like that's a version.
Well, that's how Dead did most of their albums too.
Like obviously the Dead is like
their albums are live.
The so it doesn't it doesn't
Leonard Skinner used to do that too, man. They used to go in there and they might have added a track here and there, but a lot of it was they'd roll in there and they'd be so practiced up, basically like you guys do, practice all the time. They practice maybe a couple more days a week, but they practice all the time like that. So when they went into the studio, they knew exactly what they wanted and how they wanted to change and all that, and basically they'd run through it like that. They said once in a while they'd add something, maybe a different piano thing. Like they didn't have a Chris, obviously. They had a good piano player, but they didn't have like a keyboard type player.
Right.
But their piano player was like classically trained, whatever. But he was fucking good too. But he wasn't no Chris. Chris can play everything over there.
Yeah, he's a different level.
He's special, man. He's special. It's you don't get that very often.
I think a lot of people, like you said, they get, like, especially if you're a really good piano player, then it's you kind of get stuck in, I guess, the traditional way of doing it. And what's amazing about Chris is that he incorporates all this newer technology,
right,
and stuff, properly, using everything together, so he takes the sound to a whole nother level with delays, and just like any like lead guitarist or somebody that is really into their guitar sound is, you know, fine tuning every little effect and pedal, you know. So it's kind of the same way, and he just has some really awesome things that he had picked up over time to add to his rig to make it, you know, that next level. Because sometimes, you know, it just, the stuff he does amazes me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
truly, you know, where you're going. And I can't imagine even some of the skilled piano players wouldn't, you know, be impressed by the by that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, even beyond technical, it's style. Yeah, it's awesome. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
I know you're out there. We know Chris is a listener
Oh, he
of
listens?
this place. Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
How you been? Well, when we gonna open up, man? Fucking Cuomo says when we do, you better wear your fucking mask or you're gonna get in trouble.
Right there, I just got a message from Chris. Just
Oh, really? Cover your face. Yeah. When you can't be distant from people, you better be wearing a mask, Ange, or a face
he
covering.
does. He's got.
No,
a mask.
you. No, I'm talking about
Oh yeah,
when
I
we're
do.
when we open up. I'm saying, like, if you go down and you're in the city and you're doing some public transit, you gotta have a mask on,
Oh yeah.
or you're gonna get in trouble.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
I
he's
did,
not fucking around. Andrew.
I did get some shopping done, and
Really?
and I guess, like, you know, typically I go later at night, but today I went this morning because I had
Now, how'd that go?
got to bed at a more reasonable time last night, so I got
Yeah?
up and figured I'd
5 in the morning.
I figured I'd go to the grocery store and get like you know, I didn't have a full amount of
Compliment.
stuff to get, but I had you know, some stuff to get. I wanted to fill up, so that was all set. But I noticed today there was a lot older people. There were more masks, but not everybody was wearing a mask. And yeah, so I guess there was definitely a lot of people wearing masks. I'd say it was almost like a 50-50. The store people were mostly wearing masks.
Right.
And this is all stuff where we were doing it and they weren't.
Did
Like,
they have
a week ago when I went in?
Now, when you got up to the counter, did they have like a plastic shield?
I used the self-checkout.
Yeah, so you don't need one there. Yeah, I did too. That's why I asked that question, because
Yeah.
I use self-checkout.
I used the self-checkout.
Lady was getting angry with me, I think.
Why?
Well, because I was wearing the one glove, and when I press it, it wouldn't press. You know what I mean? It wouldn't like work the first time I pressed it, so I had to press it a bunch of times.
When you were like doing produce or something?
No, you got to press it to push cash
Oh, right.
or card, and then you got to push no coupon and all that bullshit. So when
Yeah.
I press it, I had to press it like 5 times each because it wouldn't just go through. And the lady, I could feel the eyes, and I looked over, and the lady just staring at me when her face was like,
Did she have a mask on?
no, but I did.
See.
So she could tell. That's what I tell people. I always have my mask on, so I always tell, because it's like basically it's the same thing when you text somebody. They don't know your emotion because they're not talking to you.
Uh-huh.
So they don't, when you're talking to somebody with a mask on, they don't fucking know if you're smiling or what kind of face you're making. So when I'm talking to people or whatever, and when I'm saying stuff to them, I'm like, I'm smiling now, just so you know, because you can't see my face. So I come up with another idea, like I'm gonna make a bunch with different face things, like for mask covers. Oh, you do?
Yeah, that's what mine is right here.
Like smile ones, or with like bigger lips and stuff like that.
This one is like a skeleton with the.
Oh, well, I wasn't gonna go that far as a skeleton. I was gonna go like with real flesh.
It's got the flag in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Nose. It's like a skull, you know.
Oh yeah.
Man,
like a
it's
dead
so
person.
Weird.
Yeah.
So weird trying to adjust in this mirror because I think it's reversed.
Right. It is. But
yeah.
It should be. Anyways.
You looking at your screen there? Seeing the screen?
No, I don't. No, I don't have that. I got a million things going on out here, but I don't have that up. Let me have a look.
No, I can't.
No.
Fucking,
I don't.
Keep screwing it up.
Yeah, you fucked it up.
There you go, right there.
Huh.
That's mint.
I never got an alert, man. No alert today. Son of a bitch.
We're hot.
Oh. We're live.
Yeah, why didn't you get one?
I don't know, but it's. I see myself on Mount Rushmore.
See me?
Not yet. Must be behind. I look good though. I look good. So yeah, Cuomo coming in hot. There you are. Yeah, I see it now. Oh fucking
There you go.
masky. Yeah, old skeleton flag boy. Yeah, it looks good, man. You wear that?
Yeah, over the other one.
Yeah, I wear. That's what I do.
So
Fuck, I
I'm
had
double.
3 on the other day. I had my mask on, then I had that like neck tube thing, the wean thing there on, and then I had that other mask that what's her name made. I had that on over that. 3 deep in that fucker. I'm gonna start wearing my motorcycle helmet. That's what because it's got a plastic shield on it too. Got a mask in there too. You can wear. Then you don't have to worry.
You think robberies are going to be up because people won't be able to see you?
Right? You
It's
know
gonna
what I
be
mean?
so common it won't be. They won't know until the last.
Until it's too late.
Start wearing goggles.
Next
That's the
thing you
next
know,
one.
they're fucking. Yeah. He had a black helmet on.
He had a skull mask.
Yeah. So this is the mAng and Neads Show.
That's right. Sonic Gardens Radio looking to get
Subscribers.
1,000 subscribers.
That's all you got to do.
Give
There's
us
a button right there.
Bam.
It says
Hit it. Hit it.
subscribe. If you're already subscribed, it says subscribed. If you want alerts, hit the bell, mother. So yeah.
And you know what we've been doing? This
Tell
is
me.
our 31st day.
Oh,
It's our 31st day broadcast.
is it really?
31, man.
Central New York out here.
Um,
That's where we is. If you were wondering.
got a couple listeners out there. Ryan Warner says, "Yo, Athena."
I bet
says
he does.
peace. And
bet he does.
yeah, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here.
You are?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad my mother had me.
Yep. Glad I'm alive.
Right? Yeah.
So, hey,
Tell
we're gonna
us.
give you guys some updated numbers, right?
We are?
People out in the world.
Thought we were going to talk
That's what
about
we do.
Andrew.
Oh, we were.
I don't know.
Well, let's do the numbers, and then you can.
Oh,
talk
now we
about,
want to do the numbers.
And you can
All
talk
right.
about Andy.
Handy Andy. Got
Oh.
one hand in his pocket and the other one. Oh boy.
So,
I bet he's sending pictures to you. That sick fucker.
who is?
Oh, little Danny Warner. Sending you photos, I think. No, I don't know what he's sending you.
So here we are with.
Oh, we got numbers.
We do. I got the map up.
Now, let me
right
ask you
next to
something. I
We
have a
have,
question.
United States cases. What's up? Ask me a question.
Our deaths, man. They're just fucking piling up. You know that?
Yeah, and they got that. I was saying they have the right here. Yeah, we're at actually it's lower percentage than it was yesterday. We were at 40% on the closed cases. So we're at 30 down to 37% of the closed cases are deaths.
Oh. We had 2,407 deaths yesterday.
Holy cow, that's a record.
Is it really?
That was the highest day for sure.
Oh, today's 2,259.
So today could be.
I mean, it's not really something
Okay, so
we're
you-
headed for. But if you go look at the serious critical,
Okay.
you see how it's fucking.
You got to go back to
But do you-
countries, right?
But do you see how it's up to 13,477? You know how it was like at 10 and then
Oh, yeah.
11 as we keep going. It's still climbing, is what I'm saying. The serious and critical, even
Right.
though that many people are dying each day.
Well, I think that this is a direct result of when the numbers skyrocketed.
Right.
If we look at it like that, then we're going to go through this for the same amount of days that the numbers were at the top, which they seem to
There's still some non-believers out there.
Are we?
They want you to go out and hug your family and shit.
See, it was down. It was down, and substantial. I mean, you're talking 5,000 less cases per day
We are down.
since as it's started to drop. It's plateau, like we said.
Yeah, flatlining. Yes, for sure.
It's flatlining, but at the same time, so I imagine we're gonna see the same. These death rates are gonna skyrocket over the next week,
Well, that's not fun.
and then it's gonna start to come down,
The trickle down effect.
which still could be a very long time. So what was that? I did see that Trump appointed, like, I know Dana White was on there.
Oh, Robert
and
Kraft.
the Kraft, yeah.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, for
Rob Manfred from MLB.
okay, that was yesterday.
Yeah,
today there's already more new cases today than there was yesterday.
Yeah, he's got Vince McMahon as
wait a minute.
I think he's like the head.
Oh man, and the
Tell
deaths,
me, Ange.
and the deaths too is going to be higher.
It might be. It all depends. That's like as they drop, you know what I mean? The new
Yeah.
cases thing, the lab's already taken that's just the reporting thing. The death things is they get that from the hospitals. The positive test things they get from the labs. As in reported, I mean. So
Germany is still they're doing pretty good.
they are. Well, there again.
Woman president.
They do?
Just saying.
So doesn't New Zealand, right? Or yeah.
Do
they have the woman president?
I did see a meme out that said what do have all the top ones, which were one of the other ones was
Meme.
Taiwan. Where is Taiwan? I know that one's tiny, but they were another good one that has a woman.
They do?
Has a woman president,
Huh.
or whatever prime minute, whatever they call
Whatever
it.
they got over there?
What do they call that stuff?
Well, not a dictator over there, but
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Then just gonna scroll up this.
what's Sweden got?
Sweden.
The Swedes.
Oh, I thought I saw it. Well, there's the Thailand.
Oh.
0.6 on their deaths per million, and they've only tested
10 people.
100,000 people. 100,000, and that's
Well, Mexico's only tested 40,000
that's
people.
only 1,400 per million.
Huh.
But they only had 2 cases or 2 deaths yesterday. Today, and they only got
How is Mexico and Canada like?
not? They locked down their borders to the crazy Americans.
Right.
No, I don't know, man.
I don't either. We're not there.
Like they're shipping in. Maybe it has something to do with export, import. I don't really know, man.
Right.
Panama, they don't seem
The
to
old canal?
update too often, or Colombia.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how we
North
are.
Korea. What do they still got? No cases? They only test 75
only
people as
imagine.
of a couple last week.
UK is like way beyond China, and Iran is probably looking to pass China in the next couple days. They only had 46 cases in China.
Really?
Can you believe it? Their deaths per million is only 2.
Right.
Yeah, they got a pretty good handle on it.
They got a handle on something.
Spain, Italy, and France.
Don't fuck
are
with them. You
getting
won't
killed.
you won't ever get a new iPhone.
And Belgium is getting killed too on deaths per million.
Oh yeah.
It seems
Turkey, man, they're getting wild
and
over
the
there.
UK has got some rough numbers on that too.
Yeah, they're. Whew. And they
The
haven't
world is 17
percent.
is 17 per 1 million deaths. That's the average then. So USA is sitting at 86, Spain, Italy, and France all 300, 400.
Huh.
Spain's almost 400.
The Spain.
Germany at 43, which is right there at half of what we have.
Everybody loves a little
You know, it's
Germany.
right in line too, because they have half the deaths, half the tests, and they're doing 2 times the per million tests per population. They're doing twice as many tests, and they're saving half, like lives in that sense.
Huh.
I mean, you know what I'm looking at? See what I'm looking at?
I don't.
Well, it says
I just figured that.
like the tests per million
Right.
in Germany
Yeah.
is 20,629 per million people are tested. The USA's is just under 10,000.
Right.
So
but we have way more people, though, right?
No, but that's adjusting for that. You know what I'm saying? Like per person. Yeah, we have way more people, so it's way, we've in the same breath, we've given twice as many tests.
Right.
Okay? But I guess what I'm saying is that if we gave
But I'm saying if they only have 4 million people, which they don't, they have more than that, but your test per million is going to be higher, right?
Yeah, the test per million equals it out for everybody. So
Oh.
that number would be based on it just because they have to, but a place like USA would have to come up with more tests. A place like China, a place like
China needs a few more tests.
Definitely, yeah, a few more than 0.
Yeah, you notice how that isn't there?
But my point what I'm trying to say is if you look over at that 86 deaths per million, so like you could almost assume
That's us.
Yeah, I mean, although in that same theory, Italy, but then is it saying that maybe Italy would have 600 cases? You know what I'm saying? Like, just looking at math, if we had twice as many tests,
I'm
to
just saying, though,
people,
it's going to be different because
it would be 6. It would require us to have 6,400,000 tests. Okay, but if we did that, it could reduce the death population down to half. I mean, obviously, it's not perfect, but it's a theory. So the more tests, the more
the
lives
death
saved.
population thing wouldn't work because that's figuring 86 into 1 million through the 330 million, right? Theirs is they've only got so much.
Same thing because it's per million. It's not. It's like basically saying a percentage. The percentage on that is something like 0.86.
So say we each had 5 million, which we don't obviously, but say we did, ours would be way higher than theirs currently is. Even if they only had 5 million at a top, right? Because we have way more death.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Twice as many tests though, and we could save half the deaths. You could cut down on half.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna
of the infected.
You think just because we have more tests that the death won't be there, or what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that the more tests,
Yeah.
the more people quarantine themselves and don't go out and infect more people. So you're like plucking them out. Every test is plucking. If it's 1 in 5, you find somebody on random like drive-by testing.
Yeah, but I think I just don't.
And you say to that, "Oh, you're positive."
I think
Go
we were gonna
home.
be where we're at right now because the way like.
I'm just saying again, it's all just
Fucked up.
It's all just blah blah. It doesn't matter to talk
right.
about it, but for me, I mean to like just guess of what could have been. But
The only way we could have been the testing, yes. If we would have had testing in place and lockdown, that's the only way you're going to do it. Just the testing isn't going to save everything.
Exactly.
The locking down would, but they're scared to do that because they don't want to lose votes and shit like that. Is what you know what I mean? Like, is what it comes down to, really. Like, you know what I mean? You don't want your people that have put you up on a pedestal to not put you up on there anymore, especially with an election coming.
Speaking of pedestals and elections, I just want everybody to hear the strength and the masculinity in this man when he speaks.
Who me?
Very simply, the President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful. The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before. We were here to back them up.
Motherfucker, we have a problem like we've never seen.
A job that nobody ever thought was possible. It's a decision for the President of the United States. Now, with that being said, we're going to work with the states because it's very important. You have local.
Is that the most asinine thing you've ever heard in your life?
Really, you talk about like a microchip. They're pinpointed. We have local government that hopefully will do a good job. And if they don't do a good job, I'd step in so fast. But no, they can't do anything without the approval of the president.
Yeah, because you stepped in fast before. You let a fucking month and 13 days go by.
That one is
how high does this fucker get? Seriously.
Everything. Like, there's so much to break down in
but you
every
can't,
sentence that guy says.
Yeah, but you can't come out and be like, I'm the top dog or whatever, and the next sentence say, I'm going to let them do what they want, but if they fuck up, then I'm going to come in and, come on now.
It was just, right from the,
he should have went over to one of these other countries and tried to be a fucking leader there and be a dictator there.
Yeah, he staggers his thoughts, and it just isn't becoming of a president. You know, hey, man, I got all kinds of speech flaws, ridiculous ideas and thoughts, and Jesus, but I'm not trying to be no president,
right?
And it just comes down to it.
It's like he puts all his ideas for the day into like a jar and shakes it up and pulls them out and tries to put them in a fucking sentence, like a random fucking sentence.
And it's interesting because they give light to the most ridiculous things, like when he says, I did, like even that whole thing he just said, who cares? And then it's like. And then he ends it by saying, I don't think there's going to be a problem, but he just wants to point out, and it creates that buzz. So now instead of that reporter like investigating his finances, where he's like funneling money out the back door, you're talking about his stupid language. And
right.
It's all the way back to that whole impeachment thing. Was that why did they go after such a ridiculous thing when they could have? I mean, not that it wasn't serious, but why didn't they go after emoluments? Why didn't they just go after the way that the president is enriching himself through the office?
Because on the other hand, you got these other fucking idiots, these Democrats
That's the point.
That are old.
They don't want to be exposed themselves.
Exactly.
So,
you got these other old people that are fucking senile coming after them. Like, it's just like, come on.
If only,
like you said the other day, if we could just start trading.
Like, yeah.
One Democrat for a Republican and get them out of there and elect two new ones.
Yeah.
We need, like, we can make a list.
Like,
we should come with a list tomorrow of, like, who will trade for who.
See, that was the moment where you stepped it up and got really loud. And then the thing was cranking.
Yeah.
Then
because you got me going.
Then then if I turn it down, though, then you also
Then I get my whisper back. So I'm like Creepy Joe behind a... Whatever with the whisper.
Behind an 8-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
No. I know you really want the guy, and you're really hoping that he makes it in there so that he can help you out.
Yeah. That's exactly I just I think I really
yeah, Warner sent me an email.
I bet he did, that sick fucker. I really think that he
I gotta open it.
Could win, and I really think that he's gonna get a lot of African American votes, and I think that'll help. I think Hillary didn't have shit for them, and I think that's one of the reasons she lost. I just think he's the best bet out of the idiots running to win it.
No, I understand. I understand your perspective.
I don't think he could. All right, so he can't fuck it up any worse than what we've gone through the last 4 years. I mean, I guess it really hasn't. So maybe the 3 years were okay, but if you look at this last 3-4 months, no, man, it's not okay. He fucking screwed the pooch, and
Yeah.
like 26,000 people have died already, or more. Or no, sorry, 28 have died already. Now that's a lot of fucking people. I don't care if the flu, whatever, you could have prevented that. You can't prevent how many people are going to die from the flu right now. If you locked us down, and you did anyways, basically, you could have prevented 26,000 people from dying, is all I'm saying. Like, yeah, a lot of people die from the flu. A lot of people die from this and that. Yeah, people fucking die. I get that part. But you could have stopped this right off the bat. You could have put a halt till our scientists figured some shit out. But no. You wanted to wait a few months because you're worried about money, and I get the money part, but you know what I mean? Like, you want to have death on your hands, or do you want to be rich? Come on now. They want to be rich.
I just got...
you got to fucking...
I got Warner's email.
I bet you did.
Oh, man, I've been hosing up all this video just for this blackmail photo in the mail here.
He did send it.
He wants me to put up there.
Don't do it.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thanks
Send
a
it,
lot.
Send it to me.
That jump back and forth there with the video where it kept clipping to the start screen.
Oh, to the mAng and Neads?
Yeah, it's because when I open up a different page on this same computer. Yeah, that's what happened.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to open it up over
I
here.
got some
lose
photos.
track,
If he
man.
wants to fuck around, I got some photos we could show. That
All right. So, hey, maybe we should cut to a Sonic Gardens video. Yeah, I was thinking we could do that.
What do you got?
Because where are we at? We're at 36 minutes. We opened up with the intro. I'm going to give you guys some more Shaka, man, because, you know, that's the most recent stuff.
That's all we got. No.
Because, hey, man, promotion. Yo, I'm going to give you guys The Heat Is On. This is a Shaka original. Jesse Tressler
the
wrote
great,
this one.
knowledgeable one.
You know, the drummer. And Josh has the drill.
Yeah, he does. He's
All
like
right.
the Don Henley of Norwich. The drummer sings.
That's right. So you are listening to the mAng and Neads Show on Sonic Gardens Radio. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so. And hope you enjoy this track by Shaka, recorded March 15th, 2020. Sonic Gardens Radio.
mAng and Neads.
Oh,
What happened?
I did it again.
Unbelievable.
I did it again. Hosed it up here.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
guys, it's coming. Here we go. Here we go.
He's been drinking, folks.
And let's see. We got to give you guys the intro. Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads Show.
Daddy Longlegs.
Word.
All your problems get to you. You could simply dance away. All the problems in your life. all the thoughts that occupy. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on. When life is giving up on you, you could simply dance away. All the thoughts that occupy can only make it justified. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on. Loneliness is all you feel. You could simply dance away. Just let the love into your soul. Let your body lose control. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving, I keep moving. Oh, when the heat is on, I keep moving all night long. Dance to the rhythm and feel it strong. I keep moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Shaka rehearsal.
Shaka.
Or actually, that was our live session from March 15th, 2020. You can catch that whole set on YouTube. All you got to do is go to the playlist, look for Shaka. You'll find
Shaka.
You'll find singles as well as the entire set, which is about 56 minutes, and it's pretty awesome.
Shaka.
So back to Josh. at
Back
the,
to our
main
regular
desk.
scheduled program. Neads Show.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
I was out here doing glamour shots.
Yeah, you were.
So what's going on? Any news? Nope. Oh.
No, same. I guess yeah, man. Just here we are. What to reflect on it. Day 31.
Oh, I've been fucking reflecting.
I was kind of thinking more about the positive aspects of
what?
Of this whole thing, man.
Oh, positive.
Yeah, well, I
Out
mean,
of
you
this?
gotta, like as far as nature,
Oh,
as far as
well, yeah.
atmosphere.
I mean, all right,
Um,
all that's positive, but all the death you can't. But that doesn't. All the death and everything doesn't take away.
Yeah, you know what though?
What?
At one, regard. No, I understand. I'm not trying
man.
to say that's. This is what I'm trying to say.
I get all that stuff is good. I agree with you there. But with all that good, then in the back of it is all that.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
all
what I'm trying to
It's
say
just
is
like
that
a
there's.
black cloud hanging
It's like
over
I
it all.
mentioned. 30 days in, I imagine there's different situations. Some people have hardly changed any of their daily routines as far as grocery shopping, eating habits, but
They
you know,
still
me-
eating dick out there.
yeah, that's funny because that was definitely a thought. Was I said to myself, we can sit here and bitch all we want about people not wearing gloves and masks and shit, but if you're in like New York City at 5 a.m., is there still like people pulling over and picking up hookers and shit?
If they're out there,
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
You know
Are
what I
they
mean?
out there?
If they're out there, they
Are
are.
they doing it?
Fucking A. Little tongue to bung. Yeah,
They
boy.
don't care, right?
Right, exactly.
They're like they got their own test.
They
the
put
pimp,
yeah.
the pimp scored
They probably feel the
scored-
same way they did
scored
about
about
AIDS.
1,000 of those COVID-19.
Yeah, they're like, I'll take my chances.
Now they hold up a sign.
Right.
COVID free.
COVID free.
COVID free hose.
Stick it to me.
Jesus.
Yeah. Cash money.
We
We take PayPal.
But no, man, seriously.
I know. On a serious note.
On a serious note, like
Like we were saying the other day, some of the state parks.
there's like
Animals
even
are coming back.
or even like
me.
was it so bad that Easter wasn't blown up like it usually is, or as far as the sale of merchandise, you know what I mean, the way we follow this, like,
I mean, it wasn't
Hallmark-
bad for us, but all these other fucking it's money, man. Money.
I know, but am I supposed to like feel like, here's the thing, if we're living in a world of like this supply and demand, and when it all comes down to it, certain things are not like required, and the only reason why we get them is because it's so convenient to get them. And I
Right.
guess like, so I have a lot of like toys and cool things and
I
stuff
bet you do.
that like I buy that I could have never even thought about getting,
Without money.
of course without money, but like even 20 years ago,
Right.
if you wanted to get like a cool guitar pedal, you basically had to pay way more than value to order
Oh.
it through like a special order situation where they charge you all this, or you'd have to go to a city where you'd have to go to a guitar store, and same thing.
Right.
And now you can just shop for things, 100, you can get 100 prices, and the true concept of supply and demand, and what you're willing to sell something for. So that's amazing. And then it
America.
causes like that whole competition and ability to pump it out. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like that's what it's kind of all about. So now
Well,
I don't know, but now, like me personally, I haven't gone on. I'm always getting on like Facebook Marketplace
Yeah, you
because
are.
same thing, to find cool stuff that people don't want anymore.
I talk myself
Things
out of
that
buying
like people
shit.
don't even use, like like we're using these. I'm
Bet-
using like we got these two handy camcorders.
Well,
They're not like the
They're not.
greatest, but I found one on Marketplace.
And I
that
bought
somebody
one
was
brand
selling.
new fucking
Yeah.
2010 or 11.
See, we had to spend about like $30 in adapters to get yours to link into the system,
right. Old adapter.
And then same thing, and then but it's like they're kind of like, that's a great situation because for most people, a camcorder isn't really a thing that anybody's using anymore for anything,
right.
That whole like
That's why you found it dirt cheap.
yeah, pretty much.
But you had a use for it because we're handy
Right. I could use more of them. So anybody's got a handy camcorder laying around
and wants to make a couple
that
dollars.
has an HDMI output, I would be happy to compensate you for your item.
Cash money.
But
Then we'll get another angle.
especially when the music, because when the music comes
Right.
back, which will happen,
Yes,
it's
it
going to
will.
happen. I'm thinking July.
2021.
July of 2025,
yeah,
we should be back jamming.
Yeah,
Regularly.
there's going to be a lot of stipulations. We'll all be in here wearing masks like it's Halloween, but we'll be here.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe
Fuck
that'll be
it,
the new
right?
thing, is we all just start dressing with like those.
Mask, badass, because people will that's how America, like especially people we know, they'll customize the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
It'll be great. It's gonna be big, Lee. Medical. It's gonna,
LED ones and stuff.
right,
That'll be
see-through.
great,
I'm
man.
gonna make a couple see-through ones so you can really see what the person's expressions are. I've already come up with the idea.
Cool.
Yeah. And they'll work.
I like
you won't
it.
suffocate yourself.
So seriously though, the other thing I was thinking is that in also
He's a thinker.
well, me personally,
Oh.
I've been dedicated and working on this place for
Quite
a long
some time.
and then I've also been on a bit of a vacation.
It looks real good from what it looked like before.
Yeah,
It looked like if you put like pre-pictures.
I got them. I should
Yeah.
show.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you put the pictures of
I
what this
guess I
place
should do
looked
a
like,
little photo shoot of the place.
right before the
I have all the
lion
pre
came,
photos, but it'd be cool to see it right now.
and then the lion showed up. No Tiger King, but we got a lion.
Yeah, that was Ryan, you're out there. That was so cool because I was
Well, I don't know.
just working and on this place and coming here by myself and for the most part I definitely had some help out there from friends and I appreciated it, but day in and day out it was me, and sometimes I'd get more done than other times, but one morning I came in and just kind of waltzed in and looked to the left, and there was a full size lion. I mean, bigger than full size, like giant size, like
Yeah, that's like elephant size.
yeah, like an elephant size lion on the wall.
I think that's
And,
on the other wall is an elephant.
Yeah, just totally the coolest thing ever. And we had talked about it, and he he had some different ideas, and then he finally kind of came and pitched that he wanted to do it, and I my idea was like whatever he wanted to do, man. I was cool with it. I was cool with whatever he chose, and it's neat because the lion, he chose a sleeping lion, and it's kind of cool
With a-
because sleeping lion was kind of representing what the studio was, and it was this thing that wasn't it wasn't it was just kind of my vision, I guess, and
Huh.
so it kind of represents a bit of the place where it's like once that lion wakes up, it's gonna be
You're fucked. Oh,
so the lion is still sleeping, and I mean, I think if the lion wakes up, it's gonna be like a
shit.
end of times
Right.
type thing, so
You're the Lion King.
definitely
Mufasa.
yeah.
I
Thanks
got-
again, Ryan. That is
Yeah.
like so cool.
You did
Made
good.
this place epic, like instantly epic. My little stuff here, yeah, did some cool things. So yeah, I'm gonna get those together. I'll get like a little photo shoot, show you guys
Right.
a before and after of every room. It'd be cool with this little like fading transition.
Yeah, you can put it behind me, or right here.
Yeah, it'll show like where you're standing.
You can put it right on my.
Right down.
We
to,
could do a little, and you can talk about it as it flashes, like a
oh,
slideshow,
wow,
right?
That would be amazing.
Instead of your face right here over my shoulder for a
Right
few
now,
minutes,
you're
you
like-
can talk about it.
You're flipping my hat up
Yeah.
right there where you were pointing your.
Oh,
There you
oh.
go.
yeah. Oh, hat flipper.
I could.
You could do a lot.
Yeah.
You got control in there.
So I don't know I guess what I was getting at was that I put a halt on buying anything. Like I want, there's some things I want.
Tell me what you want.
There's
what
some
do you want?
no, like not specifics, but there are things that I want to buy that, like, in life, you like say to yourself, okay, I need a new
I need a new
curtain or something like
Oh.
that. You know what I mean? Like I've
Yeah, I
used
wake
that
up
curtain.
every day.
I've used the curtain before, but give me a break. I'm talking about, in your case, you bought multiple cables over the last month, right? And all I'm
Definitely.
saying is that over the last
I
month,
mean, it doesn't mean that I wanted
I've
them.
went-
I bought them because I figured that they would hopefully be useful for us.
I know.
Right?
And I'm saying that even on the non-essential, well, that one is kind of essential to keep the show going with having the right audio.
Right. So it wasn't
Even though
so.
we realize that, like I said, what happened is there's some kind of power failure.
We always got something.
It must
going
think
on.
that there's power in that. Maybe. I don't
Maybe
know.
it's power output. No.
I don't know.
But anyways, all right. Sorry. Keep going on. While you're sorry to get you sidetracked. That's what I do, man. I sidetrack everything.
So I'm trying to, I think, also the responsibility, and I wasn't trying to be like accusing you of not doing the right thing or something by
well,
getting the
you-
cables for
let
the
me
phone.
tell you what.
But I don't know
You
what
wouldn't
kind
be
of
the
shit.
first one to accuse me of not doing the right thing.
Right. So non-essential things, I'm not ordering them. Like
Right.
I'm not. It's the same way I said that there was the Amazon guy that came out basically pleading that, because they can't control what they're told to put into a box.
Right. I am.
And
I
so-
hope it just comes from one of them 5 states that the fucking stupid governors didn't lock them down and makes everybody go to work and stuff. So
Or they had to be there anyway, so
Yeah.
at least you're getting your stuff.
right.
They probably. I wonder if you did look up what that was as far as the states that are open and what businesses are producing out of there. That'd be interesting
Yeah,
because it might
just-
be.
Find what you
So-
need in the state that's open still.
So I recently,
I'm resourceful.
I'm like so many others, like 150, I think, million other Americans that are on Amazon Prime delivery.
Delivery.
That's kind of how it all started. So it was like, oh, if you buy a couple things, then why wouldn't you want to just get it in 2 days, And then major cities now, I think it's down to 1. You can get your stuff in 1 day, Josh.
I never used to use Amazon.
Do you use it now?
Well, yeah,
Okay, and you have a thing, right?
I do have a thing. Yeah.
You got a membership.
I decided to bite
Well-
the bullet. I'm real, man. I'm one of them people like I'm cheap about a lot of shit, and then when it comes to other things, I'm not cheap at all.
But here's the thing.
You know what I mean?
Is you obviously know that you cannot compare to what they have to offer
well,
for that price. They're giving you the free shipping, which you're going to pay anyway.
right.
So right there, that's free. So
Right.
then along with that, they throw in their movies and their movie channels and, that whole setup. And then access to everything that you can imagine, right? So it seems like a great deal. It's hard to resist that.
I mean, it would have been great if we came up with it, but yeah, you're right.
You know what? A lot of other people did come up with it, including that was like a huge thing for that Amway company.
Right.
Was basically could have done that,
But
and,
their problem was they had a little bit of religion tied
they had
to it, right?
religion tied to it, and I think that scared away
Fucking
the usual the standard dirty, probably, I don't know.
right? It would scare away. I think it definitely did.
But anyway, Bezos, he ended up pulling it off, and right now that's the system. So what I had so recently I was like, okay, well, there's things that I buy every month, and there's definitely having the studio, especially when I was getting into parties, there were going to be things that I needed every month. It was like I wasn't going to be able to just get away with the run into the store for like whatever, and I just thought it made sense to say, okay, I'll put this stuff on a subscribe. They got the subscribe and save, right? So if you subscribe to it every month or every 2 months, then you save 5%, right? But then if you get 5 items in a month, you save 15% total. So you're already like shopping for the best deal. And, you know, like I get things like I've talked about, like my coffee, and I drink coffee like crazy. So I just know, you know, I can budget that in my life.
So that's essential, coffee.
It wouldn't, it's essential. No, honestly, it's not. But here's what I'm saying is that, that's where I'm at right now is I just get a delivery every month.
Right.
So when my first delivery, which was around, you know, the 15th or whatever of March, it wasn't as serious as what's going on. This delivery now, there's 5 items, right? One of them is my toilet paper. Like to get that subscribe and save, I just roll with like 6 rolls a month or whatever that is. 9 rolls, I don't know, a month. And sometimes I'll have more when the thing's done. Sometimes I bring them here, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
1 package a month. And so that's like one of the 5 items is toilet paper. That's getting delivered. But the other thing I get is paper towels. And neither of those things are essential. But like I said, they didn't tell me the paper towels, they said they were out of stock. But maybe it was just my brand, whatever. Those nice Vivas.
Huh.
My point is
Tell me
that
your point.
my point is that they didn't cut me off and say, you know, we're not delivering this stuff.
Right.
Because obviously I'm subscribed to like get the stuff. That's money they can count on. That's literally lost. That's like lost revenue because everything's in books. So like if they have it in their books that I'm going to be paying them, you know, 20, whatever it is, you know, $43 a month for these 5 items. And all of a sudden they tell me I can't guarantee this delivery anymore. They have to cut off that expected amount. So if they did that with 150 million people, or let's say, you know, whatever, 20% of them do what I do with like a subscribe and save and like take advantage of those things, I'd say more, you know? So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they can't cut you off. They just want you to keep buying stuff, and they're not going to shut down their lines.
Oh, hell no.
And they're not going to unless they
They're
have
trying to open everything back up, man.
That's what I'm saying.
They want. Listen,
All right.
they don't want. This guy's got the world by the balls. He don't want to. He don't want to not. He'll ship whatever the fuck he can get
like
his
if we're
hands
talking
on.
about that, we can go back to that other. I thought I had an interview with
Would you?
I might be wrong. I thought I had a video with Fauci, you know, explaining. I think somebody asked him if there would be a if it could come in the fall. Something about that, like if it could come back in the fall.
Oh yeah, Fauci, the great and knowledgeable one, actually.
Oh well.
Oh well.
I did have another clip from that press briefing, I think.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's hear it.
This is the one where they again are asking him about the power. Absolute authority.
Crank it.
King Jong-un.
Your understanding of your authority vis-a-vis governors. Just to be very specific. For instance, if a governor issued a stay-at-home, when you say my authority, the president's authority.
Oh, did I already play
not
this
mine,
one?
Because it's not me. This is when somebody's the president of the United
Play
States.
it. I like it.
The authority is total, and that's the way it's got to be. The authority is total. It's total. And the governors know that. So if the governors,
He has not
you have
read
a
the
couple of
fucking
bands excuse me,
Constitution.
you have a couple. Could you rescind that order? You have a couple of bands of Democrat governors, but they will agree to it. They will agree to it. But the authority of the President of the United States
10th
having
Amendment,
to do with the
bitch.
subject we're talking about is total.
And then check out
Mang and Neads Show.
So yeah,
Sonic Garden Radio live.
mAng and Neads Show.
Yeah.
That wasn't the clip I wanted anyway, though. 'Cause
Play
I
it,
did
though.
just
Play the
it.
one you wanted. Come on there, Fauci.
Oh, we did that one too.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever, man. I guess I lost it.
Oh, Uncle Lucy.
I like this line though.
Tell me. What'd you? I didn't.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
It sounds like you, Joe again, whispering. Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
All right. Been waiting.
Was birtherism racist? Look, I wasn't really involved in that.
That's Jared.
Who's that? What he say?
Jared Kushner. I just like that one. The way that guy says it it was just an interview with him. And the guy goes, was birtherism racist?
Huh.
The kickstart of the Donald Trumper. It was like going after the authenticity of his Americanism. America. So, what else, man? Where we at? We got any calls here? Is the phone?
No,
the phone
we
lines are
unplugged it.
open. They are open. So if anybody wants to call in, it'd be awesome. Love to hear from you guys. One day the third eye will awaken from Ryan Warner.
Yeah. His has already been open.
His well, that's always the funniest thing is if you
Right.
could get like Trump, man, he needs to take some mushrooms or something. Needs to go on
He might.
an adventure.
He might. I
Um
went on an adventure once.
You did?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
To the zoo.
Went to the zoo?
Yeah, I did.
You saw your buddy there with your he'd let you on the team with that haircut.
Joe?
Yeah, I don't know. You
Oh.
tell me. Joe Dirt?
No, not Joe Dirt.
Joe Tiger guy?
Right? He'd let me in. He's in
Yeah,
jail,
man,
though.
that's what I said with that. I don't know, not for long. I hear Trump's
Donald? Gonna get him,
I
right?
hear Donald's looking into it. He might pardon him.
He might. He should.
And they all want to get Carol Baskin.
They do.
He's against her.
That bitch Carol Baskin.
Yeah, there's been so much shit on that. It's funny, but I still haven't seen any more of it. I'm not. It's funny because there's even memes on that, like people that won't watch it are like too good to watch it. They're like, I will not stoop to that level.
It ain't level
of the
though.
rest of you.
It's like I don't. Why would? All right. So, but those same people that say that probably watch those. What are those? What's that murder show that or not murder show? But
Murder She Wrote.
No. HLN's got some.
Yeah, Home Life. See, I don't have any of that stuff, man. Like I
not
have
Home
to.
Life. Like
Home Life Network. What's HLN? I don't know, man.
I don't
I guess
know.
I just made up that.
Yeah, I think
HLN.
you did. HLN's the one right above. It's CNN owns it, or whoever owns. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about as usual. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know the whole story. That's my problem. I never know
Yeah.
the whole fucking story.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get a little more.
If we had
that's where
if we had Warner here, yeah, that's where Warner could fill us fucking all in. He fucking knows.
well,
It's like investigative. Fuck. I don't like doing homework. So what else we got?
what do we got? We got another song. We're at that point. We're at
Song?
another half hour. We're a half hour in. That's the way we roll this thing. We go music. We didn't do any updates, but it's all gloom and doom there, man.
Yeah.
We got to move on from that eventually. And
Yeah, we're moving in. Elizabeth Warren has put
definitely
her.
keep everybody up on like whatever does happen.
Well,
but at this
Elizabeth-
point, it's like counting numbers gets just like, it's the same pattern.
Well,
We'll check it out. We'll let 'em know.
Elizabeth has endorsed
Biden,
Joe Biden.
sure. I'm sure he did. She did.
She done did.
She done did it.
She done did it.
I'm telling you, man.
Tell
There's
me,
certain
Ange.
things,
Let's get
like,
going.
even,
Tell me about it.
like, okay,
All
here's
right.
the thing.
I don't like her.
Okay, listen. I've
She's an idiot too.
I've always heard in the past nice things
About her
okay?
until she got out there
Hold
in the
on,
public. Okay.
Let me give you my thought. And there was one thing that got her. And you know what's crazy?
She fucking lied.
Yeah. It was about the way, like, when it all came down to it.
Because
it was
Democrats care if you lie. Republicans don't.
unless I'm wrong,
not.
I'm wrong about this information and I got caught by the Trump propaganda.
I don't think you are wrong.
What he said about her and the facts are that she, and I don't know if they're the facts again, but this is what I heard, is that she, falsified the document by saying she was a minority.
She did.
And all that really is like a little bit shows, that corporate thing. Like, you can paint yourself.
If she was
as
Republican
a
and did that, she'd be
progressive.
fine.
Right.
I'm telling you. Seriously. Well, that's obvious. As you could see with the last 4 or 5 years. From when the campaign started. And
So that kind of like tilted my opinion of her authenticity.
but yeah,
And you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
like,
me too. That's why I
as
think
far
she's a
as like
fucking
anything,
idiot.
some of the, I think and now here to be open and honest about it, like with my guy, which, most people know that I really like the ideas of Bernie Sanders. And no matter what people threw at you, the only things that were like, that I think were a little too damaging were like him, the way that he, even though he said it the same way Obama did about talking up, Fidel Castro and some of the in some of those situations, but
he's no Obama.
But in all reality, he was right. He's right about what he said, but it comes across wrong. Same as the other one that was kind of damning is like some of the like some of those old videos that kind of just showed that he kind of didn't communicate well with children, but but like the thing is though, same thing. He wasn't wrong. It was just like,
well, Ange, I mean,
he wasn't wrong.
You don't
what he would say. Like he asked the kid, like
about
the kid
blowing.
Yeah, man.
Come on, you.
Out
No,
of
no
touch.
parent wants to talk. You got to let the parents talk to their kids about that first.
Yeah, but this was
You
a show.
There was a 5 and 6 year old.
But
weren't
he's
they?
the mayor. Yeah, but he's the mayor of a town. I mean, they were giving him the leeway to
talk about
to
their
It was a
kids
little
and-
bit,
It was a
Andy,
little.
Andy kind of like acted like he was exposing the parents, but again, not even. That one was just cute. I thought it was cute.
Oh,
I think that
I mean,
Trevor Noah painted it a certain way, but he also pointed out that it's still not rape, bro. It's not rape. He didn't rape those
he
kids.
Did not rape
he
those
didn't
kids.
freaking sniff on them.
No.
In
but-
fact, the whole joke was that he just talked to those kids the same way that he would have talked to you or me.
right?
And that's why it was funny. But instead he was talking to, so that was
6 and
was
7
funny.
year olds.
And then when he went in the classroom and pointed out every bigot thought process by explaining it, even to the point where he said that, I don't know, it's just so ridiculous. So, but that was it. So there you go. It's like, again, it's not being accused of rape, it's not, yeah. I mean, not that Elizabeth Warren was. She obviously just lied on a little thing. So, but other than that, the other thing with her though was the way that she didn't confirm nor deny the accusations that he said what he said. So it's like, I mean, as far as like African American vote, you know, youth African American, he had that. It's just it's the same demographics across the board. It's the older people that are more. It's basically the generations right before us, man. It's like people born, you know, it's like people born after 1975, 76 have a kind of different outlook.
Oh yeah.
That puts us in the 90s kids, you know.
The old 90s.
That's what I think. Wait, did I say I was going to play a song?
You're going to play a song. We're going to come back, chill for a minute, and then...
All right, dude, I'm going to play... I got it then. I'm going to play the opening... Oh, we do have a call coming in.
Who is it? We screen our calls.
Let's see,
here.
We got... It's who we think. We'll let him in.
Oh, Uncle Douche.
Let's see. You are live on the mAng and Neads Show.
What's up, my brother?
There he is, old choker.
How you doing, bud?
Start to play the song yet? I was gonna wait.
No, I did have a song I was gonna pull up that our intro jam from the it's a unreleased version. I mean it's released in the show. It's the opening one, but
yeah, we've been playing it.
I haven't played it on this show.
We're gonna do spoken word over the top of it.
Once you started talking about most recently what you're saying about Bernie talking to the kids.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like yelling at my screen, like disagreeing with Josh.
Yeah. Okay. Back me on that a little bit, or
no, there ain't no backing to it.
Or tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, first of all, I just like when you first started talking about it, you said something like no matter what people or whatever, you almost made like an absolute thing towards Bernie to where it's like when you compare it like Bernie supporters to Trump supporters, you expect people to back Bernie no matter what, like no matter what he does, no matter what he says, because, you know, like what I was talking about yesterday. And I thought that's where you were going. No. I thought you were going to be like you were going to give an absolute statement about why you're down with Bernie. No. But instead you did something like the opposite. You know, you're like, I see where, you know what I mean? I can see where he scared people away, you know? And it's like that when he talks to kids, but that was in the 80s, and that's when cocaine was as common as like Red Bull is now.
It doesn't matter, though. The point being is you as a parent should talk to your kid about that, not some mayor.
Right, but at that time, even now, you're not equipped. It's like talking to your kid about mental illness. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And they didn't know they couldn't talk about it. In the 80s, it was don't acknowledge it, you know, don't let your kids know you're doing it, because that's when it, you know, like when cocaine first started coming around, you were doing it for the first time as an adult.
Yeah, Bernie wanted the kids to rat on their parents.
In the 80s, you were doing it as a 30-year-old. And then as it progressed, that's when the 14-year-olds started doing it, and the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds. You know what I mean? It was introduced to our culture to adults.
Well, my fucking propeller broke.
For the first time ever, they were dealing with kids doing it, and parents didn't know what to do because they're like, whoa, I mean, I do this shit, but I'm not going to let anyone else know I do it. And now I got to tell my kids not to do it. So they weren't sure what to do, and they didn't know how to talk to kids about it. And then you have the other ones, like the Reaganites, that were just like, all drugs are bad, you're going to go to hell. But I think that Bernie was doing it because people were looking to someone else to be like, hey, what are we doing about this, about these drugs? What are we supposed to say? I think that's the cue he was taking.
Yeah, he was wrong.
Like Eugene Levy in every movie, you're like, please stop talking. You know? Like, you know who Eugene Levy is with the eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
American Pie. The dad.
Oh, yeah.
He's always talking about uncomfortable shit.
He's good.
You know, and he's like, oh, let me tell you something about manhood, son. You know.
Oh,
yeah.
You
get a woman. It's like, okay, Dad. Like, uncomfortable. That's the way Bernie is around kids. Like, he doesn't get it. He almost has Asperger's. All that Trevor Noah stuff was, it was uncomfortable, but it's just that he doesn't get it. You know, he doesn't know where to draw the line. He talks to everyone like they're adults, like you said. And he thinks he's doing them a favor, but the kids are like, I gotta go now.
Yeah. I
want to build a theme park. Well, who owns this? Who owns this property? The railroads. And first of all, you got to go down to the yard.
Yeah, and they're like,
talk to Big Mickey.
But
he's going to ask you to, you know.
But that was
Okay, I gotta go now.
that was the best response, though. In all reality, is that this is what you got to do. It's like, you know, you got to go through all. He knows, though. That's what's great. I wouldn't have known that. You got to go through the.
But he almost like it's a dream killer. It really lets you know, man, that everything's a dream. Like nothing. You know, you can't really just build a theme park.
That's another theme that he's had his entire career, is that everyone has to get involved, and that's what he's going out on. I mean, he's only got so much time left in his life.
Yeah, he should have
shit.
retired.
And what he's been saying now, he went one last message. He brought a huge things in the last years to the main front table and allowed people to at least start having dialogue about it. If, like, 8 years ago, when they were first, when Tea Party took over and they attacked affordable health care, which wasn't as far as Bernie or anything. It's way. It wasn't even close with the other industrialized countries at that point.
Right.
So he brought that to the conversation where you can actually say that now and actually have a conversation about it, where before you couldn't even bring it up.
It was radical.
It was so radical. That's even, that's really,
Like,
that was like the idea of awakening that Bernie movement, was because, like, they needed, if you remember, when Hillary was running, nobody was on that stage. There was like 3 candidates, remember? There was that dude, like one dude, and then they're like, oh, we'll let Bernie run and he can just like spout all his nonsense. But the crazy thing was, it caught on and people were like, wait a minute.
But they all knew
That's
no
what
one
I've
could
wanted
touch
to
her.
hear.
Right.
My point is that I'm not affiliated with anybody. And when somebody says something, it's one thing, and then you have to evaluate if they're full of it, and you look at their record, and I was like, who is this guy? I'm going to check him out. Wow. He's actually
Yeah, dude,
pretty solid dude.
That's like me when I first heard Dave Matthews. I was like, this
Jesus
guy's speaking
Christ.
my language, and the chicks dig it.
Right.
I'm like, finally, I don't have to pretend to be a gangster rapper anymore. There's another way.
No, I mean, that, you know what, man? That's funny that you say that, because you're
And used
you're
to
a
listen
couple
to him too.
you're a couple years younger than me, and if you take that back into the 90s, I remember when basically, like, I was going to middle school and I was into, like, hip hop and Yo MTV Raps.
Ange was a rapper.
And music was like only, you could only hear like rap music a half hour
Tell him,
a
Ange.
day on MTV, because that was all they were giving up to it,
Right. At 9 p.m.
Yeah, but I was going to school in, like, 7th and 8th grade. This was because it was middle school in Norwich. So it was
Tell
just
him
them
about
2
your
grades.
rapping days.
And man, everybody in school was like Birkenstocks and following the Grateful Dead genre hippie thing of Norwich,
the
New York.
resurgence, man.
Yeah.
Norwich was like, it was like the spearhead of the hippie movement, the resurgence of the hippie movement. I was amazed. I didn't know what it was, but my dad was amazed by it.
Yeah, it was like
He's
Norwich
like,
was.
someone wearing goddamn bell bottoms.
Yeah, man, Norwich, but specifically Norwich, like, became like a really cool town for that. It's kind of what triggered the Blues Fest, which, in my opinion, it should have been a different kind of music, but that was like something that everybody could cling to being like, all American blues music. I like blues, don't get me wrong.
B.B. King.
Norwich was like a redneck Pauly Shore. It was just a weird, like, I didn't know what to make of most kids in Norwich. Like, they were the first alternative kids that I'd ever seen.
But here's the thing. Then everything,
Binghamton.
but then everything shifted.
But
Like, then hip hop went mainstream, and I came back in
because of Ed Lover.
I kind of shifted into a little punk rock and skateboarding and kind of a different scene, and
See, that was resurgence too, man. That was like the comeback. That wasn't the OG like skateboarding, like Bones Brigade in the early '90s. You're talking like because then it died out and came
Right.
back again.
Yeah.
Skateboarding, I mean.
Right. Like 90s, later 90s. So
Yeah,
then,
like
but
when,
like, so
when,
it all
when Pro
flipped.
Skater, like a couple years before Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out, was like people were skating again. Because I remember seeing it, I was like, holy shit! And they had the little boards with no, like, you know, the current day boards. They were just so much different than the boards of the '90s. But I remember seeing kids skateboard. I'm like, you're fucking skateboarding? Like one kid skated when I was at school in 2000, and he had like his little gang.
Well, see,
But
in the
it wasn't
80s,
a
they
thing.
remember Turner
But
had
that's when, I'll tell you what. That's
Turner
when
had that
CKY
fucking-
came
So-
out, Bam Margera.
All like my older brothers, my older brother's 6 years older than me, so like they were into skateboarding.
yeah.
And then the great,
And when it-
like
when it-
the
when it
way,
counted.
yeah, like in those days.
Back when it was the fishtail skateboard, though. Before this one right here.
Right.
Right?
So,
Over at
talking
Turner,
about-
when they built, they had the ramp over at Turner's and shit back in the day, too, right?
Yeah.
How were you
Yeah,
then?
with the,
So-
with the rails.
I was
No,
like
they had
13, 12.
Right.
Yeah. And,
what was the
I was more like they didn't, I was into hip hop again. That was my thing. So they would like kind of, bully me around with their little skateboards and stuff. The older guys.
make
But here's
them
the
go
thing.
off
So
the
I
ramp.
remember like a couple years after that though, all of a sudden everybody was, hey, what's up, dog? And like saying shit like that and listening
dog.
to mainstream hip hop because it changed like from being on just a half hour a day to there being, multiple.
Puff Daddy.
Yeah. it took,
Vanilla
like,
Ice had hit.
where it took over. No, it's way after Vanilla Ice, like in a sense.
Yeah,
but there
this
was
is where,
also
like, when Friday came out, when Ice Cube started doing movies like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society.
yeah,
Friday was much later. But
sure.
Yeah, I remember. when
But
people
there was
started
also
talking,
like there was also a big like so here's the thing, hip hop in like what I always liked about it was clever, things like Tribe Called Quest,
Public
and
Enemy.
like Public Enemy, and some of the
KRS
East
One.
Coast stuff that was just so clever, Special Ed,
KRS, right?
Yeah, KRS-One,
Yeah.
and
Josh.
and definitely like West Coast too. But there became this like thing about kind of bragging. And you mentioned it yesterday when you talked about Trump and how Trump's in so many hip hop lyrics. And it's like, of course, that's the society that like evolved because the 2000s became like the years of bragging about, how much money you have, how much, how cool you are and how many girls you have. And you know what I'm saying? It's like that, how much money, how nice your car is. And it just was like a shift from like just being clever to just being a super braggart. And
then knowing, like, all you had to do is know the trends, and then like Fendi, Gucci, Prada, like became just like secondary. Like they just say it, you know what I mean? Like for no fucking reason, other than it's like shit you can't afford and you barely know about.
Right.
Like
Warner was in
and
the
it's really
third
and
base.
it's really
that brought out good rappers, man. Like the really good rappers.
true.
Like Jay-Z and Nas, and even DMX.
And Eminem, you can't
They would-
leave him out.
Well, he's the
Yeah,
greatest.
Eminem, yeah, they would be like, fake MCs. It was this whole thing, fake MCs, and it's almost like, because I played basketball at the time, but it's the same thing I would do. It's like if you wear a fucking jersey and come on a court and act like during the layup lines that you're hot shit, it's like nope, and you start talking shit to this kid. It's like, look at you, what are you, pretending to be a fucking ball player?
I was hot
and
shit.
and you get that from rap, and you're like, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna just beat you because you're not a ball player. You know what I mean? You're out here fucking faking it, trying to look cool. I'm gonna destroy you because of that. But if it's someone else who's coming out trying to have fun that wasn't any good, and they just want to play,
It'd become intimidating, and you'd be like,
don't treat them the same way.
Yeah.
You help them. You try to get them some shots. You do whatever. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you guys, and this bum kid that I've got on my team is gonna score on you.
Yeah.
But rappers were like that too, and they helped you. Like, I feel bad for people who didn't get into rap enough to know the difference between You know, like the good and the bad. You know, like Jay-Z. You know, he'd point out people quick. You know, and it's but yeah, I didn't want to sidetrack you too much, but
Yeah, man. So all that's just evolved. So I guess to bring it back full circle was just kind of comparing that. You know, our society kind of went in that hard edge. Like we went from the '90s grunge of like hippiness of like, you know, what's up, brother? We're all friends. You know, puff together and all that thing to like this 2000s early of like everybody was edgy and it was more like what's up, you know, instead of like the unity thing. And then somewhere, you know, around like the end of that, it kind of cycled back around and it was kind of cool again to say
Bring
you
it
know,
back around again.
that you could like
Rage.
express love, man.
Rage.
Express some like, you know, express some unity and like love and
I was on all
togetherness, you
kinds
know?
of different paths.
yeah, 3.0, man.
I was on all kinds of
Yeah,
fucking.
Josh in his Janko jeans, but he just wore them the whole time, and it, you know,
Yeah, I did whatever I wanted, basically.
I remember those days.
I did whatever I wanted.
Hey, so
There's
anything else
Go
good
ahead.
happening? What's up with you?
That's what I was hoping you were going to ask that.
Yeah?
Well, the checks, it's a little thing. It's a little thing, but I just think it's funny.
You're not getting one, are you?
Well, other than that,
Definitely not getting
they're
one.
going to take like 5 months or something if you get the actual check.
No,
right,
you'll
right.
get it. You'll get
My
it at the
thing.
beginning of June or something.
And Trump delayed the manufacturing and the printing and everything like that because the first draft of the check
You gotta
was
sign
just
them.
normal, you know.
Gotta sign them.
You know where the funds are coming from?
Gotta sign them.
They can only
Yeah, taxpayers. You gotta sign them.
Right, but so the funds are coming from, you know, like the federal government, like the like your tax dollars basically.
Right.
But Donald Trump wanted his signature on them.
Of course he did.
Well, he's the president.
He
So
hey,
they gotta sign them.
I wanted to say that they did point that out that they can only produce 20,000 checks a week.
Yeah, they're talking June,
So,
beginning of mid-June.
However,
or so,
they
you'll
start
get it.
doing it, whether it's your social security number or whether it's your actual name, you know, last name, I don't know, but however they do it, it's only 20,000 a week was like something like their
And you
production
had
level.
to file a tax
And it won't
return in
start until they
18.
redesign it
18 or
and put his
19.
signature on it. But there's a thing about it because the money is not from him,
Well,
right? It's not Donald Trump's. It's not the president.
Right.
well,
You're
obviously,
not being given money. It's part of a relief program,
right.
and it's completely separate. That the Trump allowed it to happen, but he's not writing you a check. But he insists.
Well, he
that
did
his
sign it
signature
though.
Be on the check.
He had to
But it
sign
can't be
the bill
in the
through.
place where it's from, like the person that's from. It can't have that. So he's putting it in the memo section. So now instead of the memo reading, this is your relief, whatever amount or whatever,
It's going to be like
time,
gift
whatever
from
memo,
Donald Trump.
It's going to be Donald Trump's signature,
Right.
not just from the offices of President Trump or anything like that. Donald Trump's signature. And I follow this one guy who's he's real left wing, but he's not radical or anything. But he made a really funny thing, a funny statement or an observation. Someone out there, one of these people that believe in WWE, and they think that all that's real, is going to really think that check is from Donald Trump. Like he wrote them a check, and he's guessing that someone somewhere is going to save that fucking thing because they think they have Donald Trump's signature. That was his. He's like summoning.
Oh, that they wouldn't even cash it?
Right, they wouldn't cash it because they think that having Donald Trump's signature on the check that
There's
they gave
no
to
way it's going to
everybody,
be his
would
signature.
be,
It's going to be a stamp.
would be actually his signature, and it's from him, and it's proof that he's giving back and doing their thing, and it would be a flex. I didn't even need to cash it.
But there's no way it's his actual signature. It's got to be a stamp. There's no way that he can sign
That many checks.
20,000 checks a week. That's all he'd be able to do to keep up with production. And that means he'd be putting in more time than he does.
You know how even
I heard
automated,
someone saying that
jet
on
liners.
CNN about
They
what
have
you just
pressure points
said.
and everything like that, so it actually has like ink. So like where the pen stops and starts going again, it's like a little darker. It's a simple printing thing, but it's I would imagine that if they're going to go as far as to put his signature on it, they're going to use that simple. It's not even software, it's just just a method of making it look as if it's really hand signed. I'm sure you've gotten it in the mail before. It's going to be an offset ink, like blue ink.
Right.
But anyway, I just think it's funny that that's even a thing. But my thing with it, other than the propaganda film, which I think is a huge, like, the more I thought about that, the more I got just really like, what is wrong with this man? But needing to have his signature on the check and the psychology behind that is insane, and it goes along with the same feeling I have towards that propaganda film. He's literally using a pandemic to further his own image in a complete false narrative. As opposed to just being like, you know what, we're not out of the woods yet. Let's get down to business. I would respect him more if he's like, hey, I don't have time to give you an update. We're working on everything we've got. We've told you what you need to do. Stay in your house. Wash your hands. We don't need to do press briefings like this. You know what I mean? We're working on it. Let's just keep getting to work. We're already behind the 8 ball. If he said something like that and was quiet, I would feel better than him coming out pretending everything's fine. Everything's fine, and he's doing such a great job. And he just had to tell everyone what a great job. I don't know where I saw it, but this is what prompted me to say it here is someone compared it to George Bush. That would be like George Bush coming out while they're still pulling bodies out of the buildings, saying, I just wanted to let everyone know what a great job I did here, and, more people should be congratulating me, except this is, already 10 times more deaths.
Yo, do you listen
Anyway.
to David Pakman's show?
Who?
David Pakman?
Pac-Man? What's he look like?
He's got hair like you, only might even be a little nicer.
Oh, whoa. No, I probably...
You wouldn't be able to
Filled with
watch it.
jealous rage.
No, you said you were listening. I wasn't sure who you said you saw it on. You said it was a progressive show. I figured it was YouTube.
It's on. This guy's on YouTube, but he's got like a really cheesy, flamey blue background, and he's bald with a goatee.
Yeah, I saw the same thing on CNN though, but it wasn't the guy you're talking about. But it's been all.
Yo, you'd like David? Check him out. David Pakman show. I'll give a plug out to the guy, but you should check it out, man. Like real quick, because I get a lot of information from him. As far as like he's got a cool show.
Huh.
He's a real smart dude. He's from Argentina.
Oh.
From Argentina, but he's U.S. He lives in New York, I think, somewhere in New York. But yeah, it's a good one. Like like I said, he's really smart. He's the one that I saw the show on the Sudafed of that the picture of the burrito, the taco bowl of Trump, and then it had his desk drawer open, and there was all that Sudafed, and then like he like just kind of found different people that had mentioned it and brought up that it was when they zoomed in, it was like a green Sudafed box, which isn't available in the U.S. It's only available in the U.K. And so then, and it was just boxes of it. So you're like, man.
It's so crazy that he's using like drugstore drugs like a fucking junkie.
Yeah, that does it for him or whatever. It's legal. So he doesn't drink. So it's one of those things where maybe I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a whole nother game.
Yeah, no kidding, man. But yeah, I'm beside myself with how he's insisting that he's doing such a good job, man. And so another thing, that propaganda film that he played, like that, he broke some not laws or whatever it is, but he's not allowed to do that.
Campaign. That's why they were drilling him. That's why they were drilling him on, yo, did you, who did this? He's like, oh, they threw it together. We have hundreds of other ones. Those weren't even the best ones. Remember, we said it.
They weren't.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And you know that there are no more. That's it. That's the only people. And and now he's saying that Andrew Cuomo's happy, dude. He's taking ventilators from upstate. You know what I mean? He's not happy.
No. Andrew Cuomo is shipping them out now to Michigan, and where else did I just read? He's sending 100 to Michigan and 50 to
Is that
Illinois.
the,
Maybe?
Is it the local claim that he's taking them from the upstate hospitals?
No, but he's sending 50 to Maryland and 100 to Michigan.
So we have New York has all the ones we need.
Well, we've plateaued. They were trying to get so in a way, like what Trump was saying the other day, like they didn't send he was right. He actually said something truthful that he did not he did not send that many because he said that Fauci told that they would not need that many, but Cuomo wanted to be prepared, and I understand, but they didn't need
30,000 of them, and we got 14.
Right, but we didn't need as many as they thought. But they wanted to be prepared in case we did, so people didn't die. But Trump's not really worried about people dying, obviously. Fucking almost 30,000 people have died.
Worried about stock market crashing.
Right.
That is like the...
So we didn't get Cuomo didn't get what he wanted, but he ended up having enough. And Trump wasn't right, but his people were right that we wouldn't need them all.
That's good news. So New York, so we have the ventilators we need.
That's Cuomo's right here in front of me. I just had read this earlier. That's the only reason I know this. That
What do you got written down on your propeller?
No, my propeller I had a crash out here like Kobe, and fucking propeller went.
Jesus Christ!
I know.
I kind of brought up early yesterday though that I kind of when you break into that COVID Act now,
Angie's ahead of the game, man.
.org or whatever.
Right.
If you go to that one, you can actually zoom right into the county, and so you see all this flattening the curve, but you can get right down to your county and look at that. And what it says is that under the circumstances we're in, we're looking at about at the peak in which was not until May, like May 10th or something, that we're looking at potentially 150 hospitalizations in Shenango County, and there'll only be 50 beds available.
Wow, yeah,
right.
There's not many.
So that's their prediction.
That's if we lax up here.
These predictions have been under, but the capacity is for 48 beds, and it was still 4 weeks before Shenango County was going to hit its maximum occupancy.
So they're definitely going to put in an order in about 2 weeks about about 2 weeks about having to wear masks whenever you're going to be close to someone in public and stuff. They're going to give you a 3
point that gun at me.
Oh no.
What do you say?
We're just listening. You got shit. You got to give
Just raising kids over here. Didn't mean to interrupt.
They're going to give you a 3-day window before the order takes effect, too, about having to wear masks when you go out. So,
mandatory?
Yeah.
Fucking
Order.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I don't know if you heard me say that I did go to the grocery store this morning, and a lot of people were wearing masks, but I'd say it was about 50-50.
Fuck, I saw it yesterday.
And they weren't double layering mask like I was. You saw
Right.
some people with just a mask on,
but
no gloves.
Josh double layers his fucking sunglasses.
Sometimes.
I wasn't surprised to hear he puts on 3 face masks.
Yeah, I don't fuck around, dude.
He puts a pair of sunglasses. Like, oh, what do you do, Josh? You put them over your regular glasses?
Yeah, man.
Man, I had a really good
then
something.
Then he puts like one more pair, so he has like 5 focal sunglasses.
I don't fuck around. You know that.
Yeah, like this is real dark up top, and then it's kind of dark in the middle.
Yeah, I'm ahead of my time. Seriously.
So what do you have, Ange? What do you wear for a mask?
I have a medical mask. I had like a 3-pack of them in the house, so I just kind of use the same one. But I do let it like sit. Like I put it in a
incubator.
I put it in a bag and I just leave it in the car. So I figure like them 8 and 10 hours, you know, it's probably
Dude, I
okay.
put mine in the microwave.
Oh yeah, that's might be a good idea.
Yeah, don't leave it in there too
That shit
long.
can't survive radiation.
And then I have like my outer. I have one of those elastic like outer mask shells that I
We do
kind
the same
of.
thing, man. I have a surgical mask, and then I put my sleeve over it.
And I have like I had like 4 of those. It was crazy because I was at that Real Deals dollar store a while back, and you know, I like wearing scarves because when my neck is warm, I seem to you know, be able to whatever, keep my body warmer when I wear those things.
It's your
Oh, yeah.
inner Steven Tyler, man. That's what it is.
And but you know, like scarves, no, that's what I'm saying. But then when you wear a full scarf, you feel like yeah, Steven Tyler, or like, you know, like you're trying to be like fashionable.
I'm trying to think of who's the oh shit, man. Oh,
And,
God, he's a black dude from New York City.
But dude, Real Deals dollar store, $1 a piece, and there were like just all kind. There were like a whole rack of them. So I was like, shit, for $1, you know, you pay like $20 for a nice scarf, and you know,
Right.
so I was like, boom, I grabbed like 4 different ones that were just like random
Right.
colors and shit.
Right.
But I lost a couple, and then listen to this. I got a Nerf set for my daughter for Christmas time, and that had like a vest in there to put the little Nerf bullets in,
Ooh.
and it had 2 of those masks too. So that's the one like I got on now that has that like skeleton one, because there were these 2 masks that
You're
were
getting that
skeleton.
out with Nerf stuff? That looked nice. That's when I tuned in. You look dangerous, bro.
Yeah, man, that was a Nerf issue on like a, no, it wasn't even Nerf. It was like a spin-off that I got on Amazon. And it was like, you know, $10 for the kit that had 2 vests and 2 masks and goggles and like, you know, tactical Nerf gear.
Everything you need to, you know, overthrow a small country.
Yeah, or the house. you know,
Pretend country, yeah.
take over the house.
I got some yeller bandanas.
So yeah, man. So that's how I'm rolling. So all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I got tons of these.
I got all kinds of stuff.
I've been seeing
So
all
Jack,
kinds
how
of
are you
deep.
gonna make? I saw that you said you were gonna make transparent masks.
Oh yeah.
So people can see your facial expressions. I noticed that too when I was at the grocery store. Like someone like smiled and nodded, and I didn't quite nod enough because I smiled,
Right.
you know. But then I realized, I'm like, oh, that dude just thinks I didn't do shit.
No, you
Right.
know what? People don't smile necessarily with their mouths. They smile with their eyes. And that's interesting
Hopefully
because
you
you
can see
start
that, yeah.
you start noticing those things in people a little bit more.
I
Because
do the
I
brow.
went through the same thing, because you're like,
the eyebrows.
or you're like cutting somebody off and you don't want to be like a dick about it,
Huh.
and you're like,
Never has
usually
crossed
you could
my
just, like,
mind.
usually you can just like nod and say sorry, you know, but now you're
Beat
just
it.
like looking at them through eyes, and you're like, what do? Nothing. And they're looking back at you through eyes, so you're like, are they being a dick? Am
You're
I
like-
being a dick?
You're like,
I don't know.
"Hold
I
on."
guess it's easier to be a dick now because I'm just moving on. Faceless expressions. Crazy, man.
Crazy.
That might be
World,
the
man. It's a whole new world.
yeah, whole new world, just like that. This is just the beginning phases of it. We're gonna talk about pre and post COVID.
Oh man.
Ugh.
Yeah. Who knows, dude?
We got Yanni out there at the main desk.
Yeah.
Can't keep him awake. It's past the old man's bedtime.
Past my time. Time to eat for Joshy. Gotta go
Oh
eat.
man, he has the tightest schedule.
Gotta go eat.
He's like Stacy. She gives you the 20-minute, the 40-minute, and then the 20-minute warning that she has to eat before she's going to start being
Tell us how she bees. How is she? What's she doing?
unreasonable.
Yeah,
Unreasonable.
She's an
That's how
unreasonable.
she
Hangry.
would put it.
She gets unreasonable?
Hangry.
She'll be like, babe, she's like, if I don't eat, you know, soon. This is the only when we're like driving or going somewhere or doing something,
Oh.
you know. But she's like, I need to eat, like whatever, or then I'm going to become unreasonable.
Huh.
You don't want that.
I bet.
It's like a
You don't
countdown.
want that.
Countdown warning, huh?
I can
Yeah,
only
she knows it.
imagine.
Josh is the same way. I gotta get some sushi in me. My
Yeah.
gills will dry out.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna cut this thing off. I'm gonna cut to another video here track to close this baby out.
We got another track from Shaka coming up.
Yeah, it's gonna be another Chaka track. That's
Hot
right.
jams,
We're gonna run
fresh.
these jams.
Fresh hot
Nice.
jams.
Yeah, Stacy loved it, man. We were just listening to the last one.
Yeah, you guys were jamming with your son?
Nice.
Coming on as loud as the iPad goes.
Yeah, man. If you get that in, you
Okay,
gotta get a
My
Bluetooth.
email?
You gotta get a Bluetooth
my-
speaker, bro.
What did you just
Did
say,
you see my
Warner?
email?
What
I
you
did
just
see
say?
the email. We brought it up. I
Wait,
said-
did Josh see it?
We did
We're
not
gonna-
bring it up
we're
over
t-
my shoulder. Don't you worry. Or behind me.
We discussed.
I
having
didn't
it-
see it. No, I didn't see it. Ann saw it.
We discussed
we talked
holding
about
it
it.
in the files for the
One-
appropriate time.
One's the news one, and the other one is a picture that allegedly doesn't exist.
Okay.
All right.
But there's one that rates the news. Did you see that one?
No.
No.
The news.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't. I
it would be
just
the
saw
one,
the
it would
one.
be the
that-
one before that, but really all it does, I'll just
I just saw a photo shot. If you sent me a video, it might have taken longer to get there, maybe.
No, it's just a photo.
Okay.
It's a graph that rates all the news stations and their proximity to like real fact reporting, investigative journalism, and sensationalism and propaganda, and to the left and the right, and it rates all the news channels.
Oh yeah, that's great. Actually,
Like a
perfect, man.
authenticity.
I was actually looking for that exact same thing because it's so hilarious how people share something from the far right and then accuse the mainstream, and it's like clearly biased situation, and you can adjust based on experience and different things, but I think what it all comes down to is that there really isn't any real left or progressive politics. Everything is center and right, and there's it's like the stuff that I don't know. I'm a minority. That's what I learned through the whole thing. Is that I thought
That's
there
what I
were
was saying yesterday, man. That we are, and we think it's ridiculous that other people aren't. Like, how can people not? But they're just not. We're the minority, man. It's this is the way it is. But I'll let you get back to it, man, and we're gonna stick around and listen to the Shaka tracks.
all right, man. We got the just the opening intro jam that we it was really like the first time we ever performed this one like officially as a track. It was one new song Jesse wrote, and it's pretty cool, man. It's a good one though.
Angela likes this one.
It's kind of it's more on the level of a funk tune than it is a reggae.
Make
but we
it
do have the skank,
funky.
so I like to call Shaka is a skank rock band.
Oh boy.
'Cause
Nice.
we play like some rock beats and rock progressions with a skank, which gives it that nice reggae.
A stank.
Yeah,
Reggae.
there's a band called Fat Freddy's Drop, and they have a song, and their lyric that they repeat in the chorus is "Skank is the rock in my life."
Yeah, there you go.
Good one, Warner.
Yeah, you can come to that in a bunch of different ways. It's a good one, man. All right, guys.
All right, man. Peace
Nice
out.
hanging out with you.
See you later.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for the call.
Safely.
Later, Needham. Take care of those fire-ass neck curtains.
I will.
There you go. Actually, yeah. Later,
What?
Ryan.
Later.
I saw
What'd you see?
I saw like one of those DIY, do-it-yourself ways to make a handkerchief a mask without so you can put the rubber bands right in there too.
Yeah, you saw
And, so
Sanjay Gupta do it?
I don't know. I
Aw,
didn't. I saw
man.
it on freaking YouTube, just like
Yeah,
somebody.
you don't watch
And it was cool because they just the way they folded them. So I'm
Right.
just saying, even with
and
those,
then they lock it in.
you fold them and then you twist it up, and it's just like a surgical mask style, without
Sanjay Gupta.
any sewing and without any.
On a serious note, have
yeah.
you ever, now that I say that name, Sanjay Gupta, have you ever tried that strain of marijuana?
Oh, they have one called Sanjay Gupta? That's hilarious because he was the first guy to, not really the first one, but he was a huge
He was against it
marijuana,
big time.
a promoter, an outright,
And then
falsities of everything, and then something
that little
happened.
girl,
convinced him.
that had
That little girl actually just died. Yeah.
She
that
had
was,
epilepsy, right? I think she had epilepsy and had seizures all the time. And then they started giving her like CBD type deal or whatever, and it helped her. And he looked into it because of that, and then he realized that it did have medical purposes.
Right.
So now he's like big on it.
Yep. That's what I remember him for. So obviously somebody.
He's like a neurologist type doctor.
So somebody must have attributed a plant. To
Oh, they
his,
did.
To his Saul-like transformation.
I'm not a frequent whatever, but I had tried it when I was out in a legal state, and let me tell you what, I liked it.
Nice.
So
Sanjay Gupta.
Sanjay Gupta.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go, guys. We're gonna give you a closeout song. This is oh my God. This
Toad
is
the
a
Wet Sprocket?
Shaka
Oh,
intro tune
Shaka.
from our March 15th set.
Live on Sonic
This
Gardens.
is live, all
Radio.
recorded live. The audio's live, the video's live.
Live video.
This is what we do down at Sonic Gardens, and once we clear away from this, situation that we are in,
Put your mask on and bring
that
your
we
band
are,
down.
that we are currently in. We are going to get back going with all kinds of
Recording.
bands and recording because I'm real excited. It was a huge breakthrough, even this show. And I've said it. Anybody listening has heard me say it, that I had a huge breakthrough with being able to bring board quality sound to the live stream, plus using all the camera angles. And
There's nothing like a good camera angle.
and
either.
like we were talking about earlier, I'm always adding more, and so I'm pretty much looking to just keep upgrading my cameras until I get them next level, and then really nothing stopping from having the dopest place around, like I'm saying.
Norwich.
All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Mang and Neads Show.
This is the Mang and Neads Show, Sonic Gardens Radio. Peace.
We out.
Hey guys, we are Shaka playing live from Sonic Gardens in Norwich, New York. Thank you for tuning in. If anyone is seeing this, please like and subscribe to our page and Sonic Gardens page if you enjoy what you see. And the YouTube channel for Sonic. We're going to try and play some songs for you guys. Enjoy.
All the whispers in your ear are just the rules. Getting through is not that easy. All the history that I have had with you is breaking hearts all over feelings. All the worry that you might build up inside work me up into a fever. Left alone, I could wither up and die, or maybe I could try and be there. 'Cause all the nights that I have spent alone with you, tearing me all up inside. All the wrong things that I did to make you cry, I'm breaking my own heart in two.
if you got resentment making up your mind, maybe we could try and fix it. If it's something that I never tried, so maybe you could finally see that all the nights that I have spent alone with you, breaking me all up inside. All the things that I did to make you cry, breaking my own heart in two.
Said you gotta roll one up, say, just to burn one down, pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash it to the ground. Yes, you gotta roll one up, say, just to burn one down, pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash it to the ground. Yes, my friends in a party so late, so ivy, so they might be my first mistake. Yes, my friends and I pass it around. We don't need no blood to get down. We don't need no criminalize it, so we gonna legalize it before we get old. We gonna take one and pass one around, and when it comes down, don't you ash on the ground. You gotta roll one up, say, just to burn one down, pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash it to the ground. Yes, you gotta roll one up, say, just to burn one down, pass pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash in the ground, yeah. We better have at least 2 viewers, guys. Hey, Mr. Weedman, pick up me phone call. Now why must you ignore me all the time? I need some seeds, man, so they can grow tall. Got this sense of me on my mind, so tell me why this plant's bad. Saying put on this earth just like man, preferring using this natural remedy. Created by roots from this melody. Say, roll one up, say, just to burn one down. Pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash in the ground. Yes, you gotta roll one up, say, just to burn one down. Pass it around, yeah. Banana, don't let them mash in the ground. gotta pull one up, pull